Hello, this is Reverend Bill, and tonight is Wednesday, April 2nd. Um, the Red Sox just beat the Orioles, so everything's good with the world. And tonight I decided that I was going to review part two of The Witches. This one's called The Witch Part Two, the other one. The other day I did The Witch Part One. Um, what was it called? Oh, the subversion. And this is part two. Might as well get to the butchering the Korean names, the South Korean names, because that's always fun. The first one, actually, I shouldn't have an issue with the actress that plays the main girl, the witch, if you will. Although, as I said in the first one, they're not really witches; they're seem to be genetically altered, but they call it the witch. Her name's Cynthia, which I have no problem with whatsoever, and her casting name is the Girl. So she will be known now as the Girl for my review. Um, Also, is from the original movie of The Witch Part One, a return of Kim Da Mi, who plays Koo Jaj Yoon, and Park Eun Bin, uh, playing Kyung Hee, and Jun Gu played Young Do. And the director was, of course, Park Hoon Young, who I believe directed the first one as well. And there will be a part three, and that would be my big sell to you in watching this one. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not as good as the first one. I thought the first one was very, very good. This was okay. After watching the first one, it's a little disappointing for a few things. One of which I thought this one had a lot more action in it. So if you like action, that's a good thing. And I think the problem was I thought it used the action in lieu of um, a lot of the dialogue and plot. I thought that the story took a back seat to the violence, and the violence is okay. I mean, from the first one, you knew you were going to get it. I just felt it was a little too much, and there's not enough plot that was there. I felt that there was some things needed to be explained better. It starts off very similar to the first one. Um, there was a girl walking off in the snow, where there had been a big fight in some kind of a lab with a lot of blood and not a lot of answers. Very similar to the first. The only real difference was this girl walking away. Um, she seemed to be more of an older teenager. I would put her age probably around 16 to 18, where in the first movie, the girl was probably more like eight. Um, and anyway, through a series of events, I'm not going to throw too many spoilers out here. There'll be a few things I'm going to reveal because I think I should anyway because this movie wasn't a lot very clear on a lot of things. But anyway, through a series of events, this girl walking away from this battle with a science lab, she runs across a woman, young woman, and her even younger brother who are living on a farm. Their father recently passed on, and as a result, their evil uncle is trying to take over their farmland. It's an old story. We've seen this a million times. Nothing new here. Um, Obviously, this girl's got magical powers like the original movie, The Witch, had. If I was to guess, and I'm only guessing, this witch seems to be a little bit more powerful from my point of view. But again, you don't really see them either one going all out, so you just gotta kind of, I don't know, guess. But I think this one seems, from what I've seen in both movies, probably a little more powerful. Anyway, um, and she helps protect the farm, and then of course that sets off a chain of events, and then the bad guys who were tied to her from the fight in the lab suddenly discover, and then the bad guys track her down and they want her again. Very similar to the first movie. There seems to be um, two factions of bad guys, one worse than the other, that are seeking her out for an unknown purpose. Um, which you get bits and pieces slowly thrown at you. Um, Now I'm going to just say here that I wouldn't say that I'm going to throw out a spoiler. If you're really super sensitive about this, then maybe you shouldn't hear this. But I'm bringing it up because at the end of the movie, I was confused and I went online and I went to some other people that were having the same questions I did. And we kind of just, read each other's things. And I think I figured out what's going on. So that's why I wouldn't call it a spoiler. I'm going to call this kind of a reconnaissance mission so that if those of you who are watching it, this is what I think is going on. So this is, I think, is a plus. Um, and it's not definite. This is just what me and some other people were just kicking around who watched the movie and, piecing it together. I think what's happened is they're kind of writing the history, the source of what's going on. I think in this, you initially find out that there's a girl that through a series of events, I don't want to get into it because again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but there's a girl that you find out gets kidnapped and she's pregnant. Um, I think that pregnancy brings out fraternal twins. And I think the first movie is one of the twins. And I think the second movie is the other twins. And I think there's a purpose that they come together. Again, it's not real clear to me, but I think at the end of this movie, they seem to have come together for a purpose that is not shared with us. But their mother, something mysterious happens to the mother, and the sisters are trying to find each other, and they have their own adventures. They both have powers, and they both have their own adventures. And one was the adventures of one sister, and two of the adventures of the other sister. And I think they've come together. And there's the third movie is going to be them finding their mothers and going on a different adventure. So again, I don't really think I spoiled anything because that's just the overall picture of the trilogy. It's not really telling you what really happened in the movie, but I think for the overall view, it kind of helps because the second movie didn't really make a lot of sense. And I'm sure there's a lot of holes with the story that they're presenting, but I mean, I'm just going to take it the way it is. And I mean, I'm sure we could sit and find reasons why that couldn't happen, but whatever. That's what I think they're going to go with it. I do want to say really quickly, the second witch seems to be a little scarier. She's not as socially adjusted as the first one. So at least for the first, I would say the first half of the movie, she comes across as more of an unknown because she's not socially adjusted. As the movie comes on a bit, you do see that breaking down a little bit. But I think that they lost a chance to have more of that. The only time you really see her showing a human side to her is food. She loves food. When she sees food, she goes nuts. And there's it's a kind of lighthearted scene where she runs to the supermarket and she wants to buy everything. And that's kind of funny. But there's other opportunities where I think they could have shown her becoming more human. I think she's talking to the boy that was in here, the brother of the woman that went in the farmhouse they're trying to save. And at one point, I think he incidentally just touched her hand. And she was like, oh, he touched me. And I think she moves the hand away. They didn't really follow up with that, but I think they really could have. It would have been kind of interesting seeing her discovering herself sexually. But they kind of let that go by the boards. But I did see that as an opportunity. There's also another lost opportunity. One of these evil groups that are seeking her, they mentioned in it that they were originally told just to find her, and then I guess they decided instead to kill her. And the person that hired them let it be known they weren't happy. It's like, I hired you to find her, not to kill her. Yet it didn't explain why they would change their directive. I mean, that's kind of a major thing, right? I mean, you being hired to find someone, you decide to kill them. Well, why? I mean, was there a reason? You just decided to change your orders? I don't know. It seemed to be a little strange. Things like that were why I didn't like this movie as much as the first one. Um, there was also a veterinarian that used to be a very black market. He gave the impression that he was, back in the day, he was someone you could depend on if you didn't want the police or involved and you had, someone really hurt. He was a veterinarian, but you slide him in the back door and he would make everything, fix you up, and he'd do it on the QT. And now suddenly he's a useless drunk who lost his nerve, and basically he's a coward, and they don't ever explain what happened to him. Why did he lose it all? Again, and that might have been an interesting story. Also, there's also the point where the evil uncle claims that the father tried to kill him before he killed the father. Maybe it's true. Maybe the evil uncle isn't all that evil. Why would the father try to kill him? Didn't tell us. Didn't even mention it. So that could have been, I guess, a reasonable subplot. They never explored that. Anyway, I'm going to recommend it because I want to see the end of the trilogy, and I think it's worth hanging in there. And I hope the third installment is better than this. But at this point, I feel like I'm married to the trilogy. I got to find out. So I'm going to give this a 6.5. Not nearly as good as the first one, but certainly good enough that I want more. So 6.5 from Reverend Bill. And I hope you guys have a great evening. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And if not, we'll come back again. We'll try again next time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye now.